Hi, I'm Mark Needham with StarTree, and in this video we're going to learn about multi-volume support in Apache Pinot. Multi-volume support makes it possible for Pinot servers to use multiple data directories. Now you might want to do that if you wanted to serve recent data from fast storage and older data from some cheaper storage. Let's see how it works with an example. So we're going to ingest some data from the events topic in Kafka, and we can view its contents using the KCAT tool. And so you can see there the events are flowing through. Now let's have a look at our Pinot estate. So our server has a bunch of storage volumes mounted, which we can view by calling the docker inspect command. And what you can see here is we've got three different types of storage. So we've got our default storage, we've got the hot storage, and then we've got the cold storage, which is actually pointing to an external hard drive that I've got connected to my computer. We've also got a watch on each of these directories so that we can see where segments go when they're created and how they move around afterwards. Now let's have a look at the config that we used when starting the server. So the main thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure that we've enabled this multi-volume support. So that's the segment directory loader. And then after that, we've got to specify what tiers are we going to have. So in this case, we're saying we're going to have a hot tier and a cold tier. We then need to specify where those data directories live. And then we've also got the default one at the bottom. Now we've got to do the same thing or something similar for the controllers. We've got to specify some config here. In particular, we've got to specify that we want the segment relocator to enable local tier migration. And then the lines just below that are specifying how often the segment relocator should run. So the segment relocator is a job that runs in the background, and it takes care of working out where exactly do each of those segments need to move. And we're saying it's going to run every minute. Obviously, you would have it less frequent than this in a production system. Now let's have a look at creating an events table to consume that stream of data that we saw earlier. So we're going to start with the schema. So you can see it's got an event ID, a user ID, a name, a city, and they're all mapping to the fields that we saw in the Kafka stream. And now let's do the same for the table config. So if we have a look here, you can see we've got the name, we're specifying its real-time table. If we scroll down a little bit, we've got the Kafka config. And then if we scroll down a bit more, and this is the most interesting bit, we've got the tier config. And so we're using the same names that we used in that server config. So we've got the hot tier, we've got the cold tier, and then we need to specify the segment age. So in this case, we're saying everything that is 0 days old is going to go into the hot tier, and anything that is more than 2 minutes old is going to go into the cold tier. Obviously, again, you probably wouldn't be putting it like that new to go cold tier, but for the demo, let's do that. And then we need to also specify the storage type as Pinot server, and then we need to indicate what server tag this is going to apply to. Let's now create that table. And then once that's done, data is going to start ingesting. And so we can call the get tiers API endpoint to see which tier has been assigned to each of the segments that have been created so far. And so we can see here we've got three segments. The one at the bottom is the consuming segment. So that one is called not immutable. And you can see the other two, they currently haven't been assigned a tier. So those will be hopefully in the default data directory. But let's come over to our watch window to see what's going on. And so you can see, yes, we've got the three segments all in the default storage, and we're still waiting for the segment relocator to run for the first time. And when it does run, you can see now it moves segments 0, 1, and 2 into hot storage, and it leaves behind a file with a .tier suffix in the default storage directory. And if we run it a bit more, we can see that more segments are coming into default. And then the next time the relocator runs, one segment is going to move from hot storage into cold storage. And so if we can go back to our other terminal, and let's call the get tiers endpoint one more time. And so we can see here now, we can see like we've got segment 3, segment 1, and segment 4 are all in the hot tier. Segment 0 is in the cold tier, and if time goes on, more of those segments will move into the cold tier. And so that's the end of this video in which we've learned how to use multi-volume support in Apache Pinot. Give it a try and let us know how you get on, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.